All right. Hey, everyone, welcome back. I am so pumped for this deep dive. We're tackling something that I think is super relevant to, well, pretty much everyone. Loneliness.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Everyone's felt it at some point.
Oh, absolutely. And, we're going deep with this incredible article, Loneliness Isn't What You Think. 5 Surprising Truths.
Hmm.
Honestly, even just reading the title, it's like, okay, what's coming? What don't I know about loneliness?
Yeah, it really challenges those assumptions, those things we think we know.
Right. And the first point, like right out of the gate, blew my mind. It says, loneliness isn't about being alone. I mean, that's what we think, right? Someone's by themselves, they must be lonely.
It seems so obvious, doesn't it? But the article's saying, hold on, it's more about the lack of a meaningful connection. You can be surrounded by people, a crowded room, and still feel totally alone.
It's like being at a party, tons of people around, music, but you don't connect with anyone.
Exactly. And that's where the meaningful part comes in. Sharing values,
Hmm.
having those deep conversations, doing things together that bring you closer. It's not just surface level stuff.
So it's not about how many friends you have on social media.
No, not at all. It's the quality, the depth of those connections. And that brings us to another point that really surprised me. It's about relationships. The article says being in a relationship doesn't mean you're immune to loneliness.
Whoa. Okay, yeah, at first glance, that's like, what? But explain that. How does that work?
Think about it this way. If you're in a relationship, but your emotional needs aren't being met, feeling unheard, unseen by your partner, that can actually be even more isolating than being single.
It's like you're right there with someone, but you're still alone in a way.
And that's powerful, right? And it's interesting how the article ties this into social media. We're more connected than ever, but loneliness is on the rise.
It's that whole thing. We're online all the time, but lonelier. How does that make sense?
Well, social media often shows us this filtered, perfect version of reality, and we start comparing ourselves to that, and it can make us feel inadequate, isolated.
It's like everyone else is living their best life, and you're just stuck in yours.
Right. And then the article throws us a curveball. It says, loneliness isn't always a bad thing. Now, how's that possible?
Okay, yeah, I was surprised by that too. Loneliness, a good thing.
Well, the article suggests that maybe it's a signal, a nudge from within, like, hey, something needs to change. Maybe it's about the kinds of connections you're seeking. Maybe it's about personal growth. Or maybe it's just taking time for self-reflection.
So don't just try to make the feeling go away. Figure out what it's trying to tell you.
Exactly. And lots of creative people, artists, writers, they find inspiration in solitude. Sometimes that loneliness is a space for creativity, for self-discovery.
That's
Huh?
interesting. It's like you need some space, some quiet, to see things clearly.
Right. It's a chance to reevaluate, to focus on what truly matters. And that leads us to, I think, the most reassuring point. It says, look, you're not alone in feeling lonely. It's incredibly common. Millions of people everywhere feel it.
Oh, that's so important. It's not some personal failing. It's part of being human.
Exactly. And knowing that, it can help us be more proactive about building connections. Maybe it's spending more time with friends. Maybe it's finding a hobby or joining a group or just learning to be okay with being alone sometimes.
So, after all this, where do we land? I think it's safe to say loneliness is way more complex than we thought.
Definitely. It's not a dead end. It's an opportunity to look at our relationships, what's working, what's not, and to really focus on what's important to us.
And, what about you listening right now? Think about your own connections.
Yeah.
Are you getting what you need? What can you do to build stronger, more meaningful relationships? And hey, that includes the relationship with yourself. That's something we all need to work on right now. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.